Hello friends, how are you? Welcome to your own channel Meedu Study. I am your friend Ashutosh from I am Indore, and friends, as we all know in Meedu Study this is your own Cat 21 Dream IM series. Dream IM series in which 75 days and 75 videos we are doing complete preparation for CAT. Our today's video, my dear friends, is the last video on the RC section, reading comprehension. Two videos were there on RC basics. Please refer them again and again to understand how to approach RC. RC is one of those part of CAT exam which you cannot avoid because it comprises of minimum 3 passages and 2 to 3 questions. So you can say it is approximately 25 marks in CAT which we cannot lose. So video number 3 was on about how to approach the passages, and video number 12 was all about critical reasoning. So there will not be direct question on critical reasoning, but in your passage if there are 4 questions, there can be 1 or 2 questions related to critical reasoning as well. So revise video number 3 and 12. After that we have been doing practice. We do 2 practice videos. Today is one more practice video, and like I told you in RC, practice daily one passage online, take a passage, do some questions and solve it. Today's is RC practice 3. Let us start. So it is on the same lines. What we have done is in RC practice 1 and 2, the kind of passage which were there, this is a different kind of passage, 2 passages which we have taken in today's video. Let us start with our passage number 1. So first paragraph of passage number 1. I have been following the economic crisis for more than 2 years now. I began working on the subject as part of the background to a novel and soon realized that I had stumbled across the most interesting story I have ever found. While I was beginning to work on it, the British bank Northern Rock blew up, and it became clear that, as I wrote at the time, if our laws are not extended to control the new kinds of super powerful, super complex, and potentially super risky investment vehicles, they will one day cause a financial disaster of global systematic proportion. So it is all about, see, first a paragraph is about telling about economic crisis. It is also telling about some risky investment vehicles, risky investments it is mentioning. So keep making these notes in your rough sheet. I was both right and too late because all the groundwork for the crisis had already been done, though the sluggishness of the world's government is in not preparing for the great unraveling of autumn 2008 was then and still is stupefying. So it is basically talking about economic crisis of 2008, which many of us would remember was a great crisis the entire world saw. But this is the first reason why I wrote this book, because what's happened is extraordinarily interesting. It is an absolutely amazing story full of human interest and drama, one of whose byways of mathematics, economics and psychology are both central to the story of the last decades and mysteriously unknown to the general public. So first is all about economic crisis, what happened in 2000 and all. Let us move to the second paragraph. We have heard a lot about the two cultures of science and the arts. We heard a particularly large amount about it in 2009 because it was the 50th anniversary of the speech during which C.P. Snow first used the phrase. But I am not sure the idea of a huge gap between science and art is as true as it was a half century ago. It's certainly true, for instance, that a journal reader who wants to pick up an education in the fundamentals of science will find it easier than ever before. It seems to me that there is a much bigger gap between the world of finance and that of general public, and there is no need to narrow the gap. So second is taking all about financial literacy and how people understand finances. If the financial industry is not to be a kind of priesthood administrating to its own mysteries and feared and resented by the rest of us, many bright literate people have no idea about all sorts of economic basics of a type that financial insiders take as elementary facts of how the world works. I am an outsider to finance and economics, and my hope is that I can talk across the gulf. So it is telling that even many literate people do not have clarity upon this concept of finances and all. Let us move to the next paragraph. My need to understand is the same as your, whoever you are. That's one of the strangest ironies of this story. After decades in which the ideology of the Western world was personally and economically individualistic, We have suddenly been hit by a crisis which shows in the starkest terms that whether we like it or not, and there are large parts of it that you would have to be crazy to like, we are all in this together. The aftermath of the crisis is going to dominate the economies and politics of our societies for at least a decade to come and perhaps longer. So it is telling about the impact. Okay. So a good passage, small passage, mix of economics and its impact. And now let us move to the questions related to the passage. So first question, which of the following best captures the main argument of the last paragraph of the passage? So the paragraph that we just did. Okay, let us see. Aftermath of the crisis will strengthen the central ideology of individualism in the Western world. Whoever you are, you would be crazy to think that there is no crisis. So this is something we can clearly rule out. Second one. In the decades to come, other ideologies will emerge in the aftermath of the crisis. The ideology of individualism must be set aside in order to deal with the crisis. Yes. This is something which author was referring to in the last one. It is something which catches the essence, hence the correct answer. Question number 2. Which one of the following, if true, would be an accurate inference from the first sentence? So we have an inference from the first sentence. Let us go back once to the first sentence and see what can be the inference. Let us read the first sentence once again. So yes, I have been following the economic crisis for more than 2 years now. Okay. I began working on the subject as a part of background to a novel and soon realized that I had stumbled across the most interesting story I've ever found. This is the first sentence. He has been following the economic crisis for more than 2 years now. Now let us check the options and see which is the inference. The author has witnessed many economic crises by traveling a lot in 2 years. Author's preoccupation with the economic crisis is not less than 2 years old. Yes, we can clearly see this now, because there it was mentioned that author says that he has been following it for more than 2 years. So the accurate inference is author's preoccupation with economic crisis is not less than 2 years old. Correct answer is option number 2. Let us move to the next one. Which one of the following, if false, could be seen as supporting the author's claim? So just see, last one was true to make it accurate. This one is false. Okay. Which one of the following, if false, could be seen as supporting the author's claim? Economic crisis was not a failure of collective action to rectify economic problems. Okay. Seems to be probable one. Most people are yet to gain any real understanding of the workings of the financial world. Yes, this is something which he clearly says. So this is a true statement, not a false one. Huge gap between science and art has steadily narrowed over time, not mentioned. Global economic crisis lasts for more than 2 years. True statement. The economic crisis was not a failure of collective action to rectify the economic problems. Yes, this if false could be seen as supporting to the author's claim. Option number first. All of the following, if true, could be seen as supporting the arguments in the passage except. Okay. If true, supporting and except. So means all 3 will support and 1 no. And we have to find that 1. Failure of economic systems does not necessarily mean the failure of their ideologies. Story of economic crisis is also one about international relations, global financial security, mass psychology. This author clearly mentions. So this is a true statement. Difficulty with understanding financial matter is that they have become so arcane. Yes, he clearly tells that. Economic crisis could be averted by changing prevailing ideologies and beliefs. Yes, this is also mentioned. So option 1 is something which is not clearly indicated and hence is the correct answer. So friends, see, simple passage, read it, grasp it and try and solve it. Now let us move to the next passage. Passage number 2, first paragraph. Vocabulary used in speech or writing organizes itself in 7 parts of speech, 8 if you count interjections such as oh and gosh and fugabadoyot. Communication composed of these parts of speech must be organized by rules of grammar upon which we agree. So first is an intro paragraph telling about 7 parts of speech plus grammar. This is what first paragraph is introducing. When these rules break down, confusion and misunderstanding result. Bad grammar produces bad sentences. My favorite example from Strunk and White is this one. As a mother of five with another one on the way, my ironing board is always up. Second paragraph. Nouns and verbs are two indispensable parts of writing. So second is telling about importance of two parts of speech, which are your noun and verb. Without one of each, no group of words can be a sentence, since a sentence is by definition a group of words containing a subject, noun and a predicate verb. The strings of words begin with a capital letter, end with a period, and combine to make a complete thought which start in the writer's head and then leaps to the readers. So it is basically telling about noun and verbs importance. Let us move to the next paragraph. Third, must you write complete sentences each time, every time? Perish the thought. If your work consists only of fragments and floating clauses, the grammar police aren't going to come and take you away. Even William Strunk, that Mussolini of rhetoric, recognized and delicious pliability of language. It is an old observation, he writes, that the best writers sometimes disregard the rules of rhetoric. Yet he goes on to add this thought, which I urge you to consider. Unless he is certain of doing well, the writer will probably do best to follow the rules. So third is giving you basic comparison of rules follow versus not. Okay. Let us move to the fourth one. The telling clause here is unless he is certain of doing well. If you don't have a rudimentary grasp of how the parts of speech translate into coherent sentences, how can you be certain that you are doing well? How will you know if you are doing ill, for that matter? The answer, of course, is that you can't, you won't. One who does grasp the rudiments of grammar finds a comforting simplicity at its heart, where there needs to be only nouns, the words that name, and verbs and words that act. Okay. Next, let's move to the next one. Take any noun, put it with any verb, and you have a sentence. It never fails. Rocks explode, Jane transit, mountains float. So it is telling that to make a sentence, we just need noun plus verb. These are all perfect sentences. Many such thoughts make little rational sense, but even the stranger ones, plums defy, have a kind of poetic weight that's nice. The simplicity of noun verb construction is useful. At the very least, it can provide a safety net for your writing. Strunk and White caution against too many simple sentences in a row, but simple sentences provide a path you can follow when you fear getting lost in the tangles of rhetoric. All those restrictive and non-restrictive clauses, those modifying phrases, those appositives and compound complex sentences. If you start to freak out at the sight of such unmapped territory, unmapped by you at least, just remind yourself that rocks explode, chain transmits, mountains float, and plums defy. Grammar is the pole you grab to get your thoughts upon their feet and walking. Okay. So this is the conclusion. Now let us see the questions. First one, inferring from the passage, the author could be most supportive. So we have to tell most supportive means something which is clearly mentioned in the paragraph and we can clearly infer. The critic of standardized rules of punctuation and capitalization. No, because he was there telling about being liberal and so on. A campaign demanding that a writer's creative license should allow the breaking of grammatical rule. No, he's not even that demanding. Creative writing course that focuses on how to avoid the use of rhetoric. Availability of language software that will standardize the rules of grammar as an aid to the writers. Yes, this is something which he will be supportive of. Let us move to our next question, second question. Take any noun, put it with any verb, and you have a sentence. It never fails. A rocks explode, Jane. None of the following statements can be seen as similar except, okay. Take an apple tree, plant it in a field, and you have an orchid. So it is similar. A group of nouns arranged in a row becomes a sentence. A collection of people with the same sports equipment is a sports team. Take any vegetable, put some spices in it, and you have a dish. So see, a same thing. Now for instance can be seen as similar, except this can be seen as similar to it. This is the correct option, option number 4. Let us move to the next question. Which of the following quotes best captures the main concern of the passage? Bad grammar produces bad sentence. Most probably this should be the answer, but let us check other options also. The telling clause here is unless he is certain of doing well. Nouns and verbs are two indispensable parts of writing. Okay. Strunk and White caution against too many simple sentences in a row. So clearly, the entire passage revolves around the correct usage of grammar, why it is important, and what happens when one is not using correct grammar. So option number 1 is our correct one. So friends, this was our today's video on RC practice. We did 2 practices of RC, and like I told you, till you appear for CAT till last day, every day ensure that you are spending 1 hour on VRC, half an hour on reading an online passage and solving it, and half an hour for your verbal ability. Very important for CAT. In our next video, my dear friends, we will do one of the maths topic, which is trigonometry. It is not that many questions are expected from it, but year or so some question, some concept might come, so we have kept it as a part of our schedule. Let us know, my dear friends, if you have any confusion, any suggestions, anything to know about RC, we will help you. If you need more RC for practice, let us know in comment section. We will provide you links for online reading as well. Friends, if you are liking our content, please like our video, share it and subscribe. Thank you. Take care. Good day.